Hey everyone. So, as we are nearing the Lorcana Reign of Jafar set championship season, as of the recording of this, it is 3 Saturdays away for July 12th to be here. So, I think it's obviously for any of us who are looking to snag at least one win throughout this season coming up, we need to already be mindful of practicing and figuring out what our strategy is, what deck we're going to go with, and so on. So I'm going to try to highlight a couple of different things of my approach for this season versus previous seasons. I have increasingly kind of changed my perspective and trying to get more serious about the way that I'm building whatever my primary deck is, and then also really honing in a better way to practice and get ready for set champs. Now, in my area where I live, I have a variety of stores that I can go to. I will, this season, I'm hoping to go to 4 to 5 of the set champs. Kind of just depends on how things play out. I have no dates set yet for when I'm going to go to any of them. None of the stores have picked, but I'm already anticipating, and especially with us having 5 weekends for events, it seems like it should give me a decent opportunity to be able to go to 4 to 5 pretty easily. Now, last set champs, I thought I was ready. I practiced. First set champ shows up. I get completely obliterated. I get 12th place. I then, using Ruby Amethyst, I get serious. I start practicing. I start doing some different things behind the scenes to get myself ready. And then I get second place. And then I finally get a first place. So I would say based off of, and I've won first place in Ursula's Return, and I won a second place in for the Scar mat. So this last set was the first one where I was taking things a lot more seriously and trying to get better at the game. Well, what is my end goal? Well, I'd like to be able to go to DLCs that are going to be coming up, and I would love to be able to actually be a strong contender in Worlds. I don't know, compared to some of these guys who've been playing card games for decades, I don't know if I can ever kind of balance or equate myself to any of them. But I've been trying. It's something I'd like to do. It's a goal of mine to go to a big event like that, and I'd love to be able to be a decent contender there. So I'm practicing, right? And so I'm looking at this season, and everything is going to change with Fabled, because when that set releases, we're getting set rotation. So everything that's in the current meta now, we don't know what's going to carry forward. So everything that we're doing to kind of practice is also knowing that this might be the swan song, the last song for some of these decks to have a chance to be able to do anything outside of Infinity. And that could be Steel Song, Ruby Amethyst Control, Red Blue. We don't know what any of these decks are going to look like afterwards. So kind of being mindful of that, just some people are not going to be taking this season as serious as others. And I think that's an opportunity for those of us who maybe haven't won a set champ yet or don't win as many as others to have an opportunity to really kick it into gear and do something really cool and end this big season on a high note. So if we look over here, so the first thing we got to kind of do is look at what is going on with the current meta. So if you go to inkdex.com, this is a great place to be able to see the results of a variety of Lorcana tournaments. It also has a section here for the metagame, so you can kind of get a glimpse of what is going on more broadly. Now, this does not include every single tournament or every single weekly league or anything like that. It only has the information that other stores and events have provided to the website. So, if you played a weekly league and no one ever reports it, and I don't know, something weird like yellow green like always wins, but it's not Trinidad, or blue yellow always wins at your store, that won't reflect here, because if it's not being reported, nobody knows that it happened, right? Kind of thing. So in the last week, Amber Steel Aggro is way up and above in first place in terms of how many people are playing it. And this is something to also that I've learned recently, and I guess I feel kind of silly for not knowing it. I just kind of took all these other meta reports for granted. The tier system is based off of top eights. It'll show you the percent, but it's primarily influenced by the total number of decks that are reporting it being played. As far as I understand it, that is the only metric, or like a big part of the metric. So you'll notice that Amber Steel Aggro is tier 1, but it also was played the most in the last week of reported decks. It also ranked 21 out of in the top 8s. But you can see that here with Ruby Amethyst Evasive, they had 19 top 8s, while Steel Song had 16. You have Ruby Sapphire Items had more than Steel Song. So it's really this total number of decks that are playing it, total number of players playing it, that is really influencing the tier system. So if you are playing a deck that is not a tier 1 or a tier 2, that doesn't mean the deck's not good. That just means that most other people aren't on it. And you know how I know that? Because hands down, the best deck that I play is Ruby Amethyst Control, and that currently is sitting at a tier 3. And if you pull this up, you want to see something kind of funny. If you pull this up, second, top 32, 16, 16, 128, 16, 128, 8, 16, top 8. You keep going, first place, that's me. Nobody else, for how long? That's one whole page. Another whole page. Finally, on the third page, towards the bottom of it, we finally see someone else who went first with Ruby Amethyst Control. I think that's crazy. I think that is nuts that deck is not ranking higher. But you will find Ruby Amethyst Evasives being used a lot, right? So if we're kind of just taking a glimpse of things, because yeah, the meta can change, it can pivot, it can shift, it can tilt, it can all this stuff. Going into the next week, it's looking like Amber Steel Aggro is something we have to be very mindful of. Steel Song is also, can be pretty similar decks. If you don't play those, they'll feel very similar, but one is obviously trying to just quest and win a lot sooner. Steel Song is likely to have more on the song side. You'll run into people who have a variety of just their own changes and modifications. Ruby Amethyst Evasive, Blurple, which is using items. You have 2 different red-blue items and then burn. Purple Steel Tempo, purple green discard, purple green bounce, and then green steel discard. Now these are going to be in a variety of, you can see the percents of the meta share with Ruby Amethyst controlling 3%. Yay. It's basically not being used in the scheme of things. So these other, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other decks are commanding more of the share of the meta space than Ruby Amethyst Control. Now, obviously, I'm concerned about Ruby Amethyst Control because that's what I play primarily. I'll play Steel Song, I'll play some other things, but that is my bread and butter. That is the thing the only thing I've ever used that has won a tournament, like a set champ, has been that. So what am I looking to do going into this next season? For one, I think it is the best idea is to pick whatever the deck is best for you and whatever one you feel is best. The way to figure out which one for you is the best, I think, is to compare the results that you're getting with it. Are you able to rank in the top, let's say the top 4 in your store pretty often? If you can rank into top 2, or if you can win your weekly league pretty regularly, I'd say that whatever deck you're using to consistently do that is probably, for you is good. And that could be any of these, or it could be a different deck that's not here. Because remember that people win these big events, they'll even win set champs and stuff, and they'll use a deck that people never even saw coming. Just recently we had the Purple Steel Wheel with Jafar, that won a big event, and then everyone was like, oh, maybe this deck is pretty good. Well, the deck was never not good, it's just that nobody was using it. Obviously, a lot of players will pick decks that are demonstrating that they have a strong presence in the meta. And I would even say, for my case, Ruby Amethyst Control, with my version that is very good against mirror matches, does phenomenal. Against some of these others, like the DKP list of red-blue, does really good against. Some of these other discards, I can do very well. I would say where I have issue is a little bit more in the Steel Song area, which happens to be at the top. So what am I going to do going into this next season? So what I'm doing, I closed my document like a silly goose. I am making a spreadsheet to begin testing against. Now, what I'm hoping to do is to see that, as I go down this list, and I've even included some in here that are not in the top 10, like Kiwi, because I have learned. So in the last set champ season, my first event that I went to, I had practiced against mirror matches, against Steel Song, against a couple of other things, and I was really ready to go. And I ran into, right off rip, Kiwi. I had not practiced against Kiwi at all for like 2 sets. I didn't even know what they were running. I hadn't seen Kiwi. And then I ran into, later in the day, Purple Green. I hadn't been looking at bounce. I hadn't been thinking about it. I hadn't practiced. I hadn't seen it. I'd seen Purple Green discard a little bit, but I didn't see bounce. I wasn't ready for it. Both those decks I got completely whomped by. So, and yeah, I did get 1 win off of them, but that doesn't matter at the end of the day. I lost, right? So what I'm doing this set is, yes, I'm going to practice against the meta, but I'm also going to practice against whatever seems to be the most popular version of some of these other decks that you're not really seeing a lot of. And even Chernodog. Chernodog was doing phenomenal at the beginning of the season, and now it has fallen off. But when it comes time for set champs, you could see someone who you've never even seen in your store show up and play something you haven't run into in a long time. And it's going to really be it could be a really big challenge for you because you don't know what to anticipate that they're trying to do. Now, obviously, every player could add their own spice in, and you could be like, well, this is a Chernodog deck, but it runs no Chernobogs and no Rapunzels, and it's really weird, and it's really fast, or something. It's faster than normal, or it's slower than normal. Like, there can be plenty of changes someone can throw in. They could be good or bad, but to change it, maybe they don't own all the cards, or they don't like them for some reason. So we have to be able to be kind of flexible. We can't only be completely sucked into whatever the current meta is and practicing against those decks and closing ourselves off to the rest. But I think that we do ourselves as players, if we're going to practice and if we're going to be serious, I think we do ourselves a great disservice to not practice against some other things also, including mirror matches, so that we know, okay, if someone sits down with a deck very similar to mine, what am I going to do? And we can't bank on, well, I'm always going to go first, so I always have an advantage, so I'm always going to, be ahead. You have to be able to practice also against going second. Now, we have a variety of ways that we can practice. Ink Table is one. That one is phenomenal because we're able to practice against an AI opponent, but we get to pick which deck they're going to play. We also get to pick whether they're going to go first or second. So if we wanted to just grind a whole bunch of games of us going second, and just, even though you're playing against an AI that may not make all the right decisions, and even though it may not be the best testing method for, okay, I'm playing against an intelligent player who's going to always make the right call, who's always going to be aggressive, who's always going to, we can't really do that, but we are able to see what do we want to see as our lines. What do we want as our 1, our 2, our 3? How consistently do we get our turn 1, 2, and 3? How often am I playing against this deck and having cards and I'm like, I really wish this was something else, right? Do I need to make modifications because of that? And obviously you would know in your local area, certain decks that are going to be more prominent. Like for one of my stores, I know red purple is very likelihood to be extras of those for mirror matches. But I also know there's a variety of other players that play hyper aggro at other stores that will come to that store. So I need to be mindful of hyper aggro stuff. I need to be mindful of other control and other things. And so what I'm trying to do is do a better job of practicing against a variety of things so that I am better equipped going into the next season and being able to handle myself better. Because what I would like to do is have a season where I now get first or second, or let's say get first place at least 2 times. I know some people are going to say, KoBaC, that's really greedy. I would like to prove to myself that it's not just that I've outlasted the guys who won their mats earlier and they stopped playing by the end of the season, and that's why I won, because I'm really a second place player. I want to win more on the front of the season to prove that even with everyone being like as ready to go as possible or whatever, that I hit the ground running and that I was able to do it. Will it happen? We'll see how it plays out. But that's what I want to do. If I could win at least 2 mats this season, that would be a confidence boost for me as we're, going into hopefully the groundwork being laid out in the next couple of days for the future of the DLCs, so that I can then also practice. And then I already have kind of an idea of what I want to do with Fabled, but I'll get into that as we start seeing more cards released and stuff, so that we know, or revealed, so that we'll know kind of what the meta could maybe look like. But the meta is going to get super shaken up at that point, so we need to just be ready to be very flexible. So I'm curious though, like, what is the strategy that you guys are going to be doing going into this set champ season? Are you using something similar where you're kind of marking stuff off? Are you doing, you're just practicing as much as you can locally? Are you just studying the meta? Like, what are you doing? Because I think that we have an opportunity to grow this community. It's a small community in the scope of things for Lorcana, but I think it would be cool to grow this community to a place where there's a lot more brainstorming, and it doesn't have to be between the best players ever. It can be from, really strong players who just play the game at their local area, and that we're able to kind of formulate new ideas of being able to what to do into, set champ season. As I started to say about Inktable is a phenomenal place to be able to test. Beyond that, you have Pixelborn. There's also Lorcanito. Both of those are online platforms where you can play against other players. Obviously, you can do just webcam games on Discord between a friend, and you can do, obviously, in person. You can practice against yourself. A lot less people will be interested in that, but I think being able to just practice and practice and practice and run against other things. And what I'll do is with some of my people that I play with online, I'll ask them, what deck do you want to play against? We'll run that for a couple of games so that they get to see that game. Now, granted, I may not be the best player at it, but they still got to see a person playing that deck. And I've copied it off the net so that, it's a net deck that I've seen win a big event or place really high. So we know that there was at least some potential. So, and you get to also kind of see how the deck works from behind the scenes. And then they'll switch off with me so that they'll be like, okay, KoBaC, what do you want to play against? Well, I'd really like to do another mirror match. Okay, here, let's do this deck, and let's run it. And then that way you get practice, or I'll, pick Discord or other things. And I think just being willing to do that with a couple of people that you're closer with is a big help, is a huge help. If you happen to know, maybe you're a really strong Trinidad player, another person who's really good at red-blue, another person who's really good at purple-green discard or something, and then, you guys could all just play against each other and okay, we're just going to grind games just over and over and over to kind of, I need better practice against your Trinidad, not whether or not maybe you win all the time, but it's because I know you're a good Trinidad player and I need to be able to see what it's like to go against that over and over and over. Yes, I can win every now and then locally, but that doesn't mean that my deck is really good against that deck. I need to know, what do I do when I start falling behind because I started in second, right? I went second and everything, and what do I do to kind of recover and move forward and do whatever your deck is trying to accomplish. I think a lot of decks have a variety of weaknesses, and I think the more practice we get, the more opportunity to change and improve the deck. Not doing huge changes, but doing tweaks, and then be able to, kind of validate it by showing progress, I think will help overall for us to elevate our game and being able to accomplish more wins, if that's what you're after. And, just become a better card player overall. So I'm interested to know what your strategy is going into this next season. Let me know what you think about mine, and let me know what you are planning to do in the comments. I also have a Discord community. If you'd like to be a part of that and help, I'd really much like to start doing some practice sessions and such there as well. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for a community, like I said, to be grown, to be able to have people who are like-minded, who want to win, but are nice and not being jerks to each other, but are dangerous players, right? That are gonna practice and learn and grow and are looking for other people to kind of do the same. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to hearing what you guys are thinking about this next season. See ya.